Okay, good morning, everyone. Going to call this meeting to order. Do we have any disclosures of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof? Seeing none. Review of items not listed on the agenda? No, none. Okay, announcements. I'll tell you, I came back to work for a rest after the weekend. It was brutal this weekend. I don't think I've had a weekend like that for a long time. Yesterday it was 4 events. On Saturday I was out from 10 o'clock until 11:30 that night. So anyway, it'll be interesting. I know most of you were at some of the things I was at on the weekend, so we'll start. First of all, and I will begin the day on a sad note, off of our sincere sympathy and to the Alexander family. Doug Alexander, the father of our chief, fire chief, Phil Alexander, and grandfather of Matthew Alexander, passed away on the weekend. And as I say, Doug was a very prominent person in Uxbridge for a number of years. He owned the hardware store with his wife Mary, and then worked at the arena for many years. So our thoughts and our prayers are certainly with the Alexander family at this time. And we will send out a notice for each and every one of you as to the arrangements. Also, Pat, our sympathy to your family. It was nice to meet some of them, but not necessarily under those circumstances. And certainly our thoughts are with you at the passing of your dad. Okay, let's start with, where did we start last week? We started there? Okay, Councillor Barton.
Well, welcome everyone. Thanks for coming. Again, really busy time, beautiful weekend, and just going to mention a couple of things. One was the Terry Fox Run, incredibly well attended, and it's another event in Elgin Park that has such an Uxbridge vibe. Families exercising together, all raising money for cancer, and then special note to Jeff Farr. He's a young man who has taken this on as his yearly project. I think he filled out 14 sponsorship sheets, and it would be one thing for any of us to get sponsorships. He raised basically $4,000 because we'd get $100 here and $300 there, and you'd get to that number. He got $5 here, $2.50 there. The kid is, well, the man is incredible, and $4,000 for the Terry Fox Foundation goes a long, long way. So,
can we just add to that, Dave, that he was one of the top fundraisers in Canada through social media, and the foundation did call him the night before the Terry Fox Run to inform him of that. So he was pretty happy.
Yeah, I think I got 40 different messages from him to let me know how he was doing. Dave, I'm at $1,250, Dave. So anyway, an incredible kid, and he's my brother's brother-in-law, so it's even more special, and he loves the mayor, so
yeah.
Huge fan. All right.
I'm glad somebody does.
You know what? He makes up for anyone else. Don't worry about it. And then on a pretty horrible note, I don't know how many guys knew Paulo. He had the little mini truck, the 1973 mini pickup truck. He's been struggling with cancer, lived on Wagner's Lake, one of my residents. I've gotten to know them really well, him and Marlene. And he passed away over the weekend.
Oh dear.
So 42 years old. And he was selling all the Canada 150 flags. He was really, really involved. And a huge loss for that family. And another positive note, he loved the fall fair, and always wanted to go, and sent me a message, you know, wondering how he could get a golf cart to be mobile at the fall fair. I connected him with Dave Dickey, and the fall board found perfect seats for the demolition derby. He won the car show with his car, you know, the week before he died. So Uxbridge stepped up and really helped out that family in their last weeks. Okay, and then I went to a town hall meeting with Jane Philpott yesterday. Jane Philpott and Bill Blair about marijuana legalization again, and so more data coming all the time, and it looks like we'll be okay with that legislation to look after some of our issues.
Great, thank you, Dave.
Thanks.
John?
Morning, Your Worship. Good morning to everyone. It was a busy week, and I'm just going to say it's nice to see summer finally has arrived.
He wasn't at anything.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of quick things. I'll start with the Legion 150. I was there. I saw Councillor Hyatt there yesterday. We were there fairly early. It was well attended. It was fantastic. And that girl who plays the drums in that band is unbelievable. I can't get over her. She's Siobhan, I think is her name. She is just fantastic. She gets the crowd going. Another thing we have is the Story in Stone is tomorrow night here at 7 o'clock. Fly Freeman will be here. And last but not least, there's the Uxbridge Secondary School night at the museum, which is October the 4th. And there will be a lovely young lady from the grade 12 class coming in today to give us her tickets. So be nice to my daughter when she comes in.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good morning to everyone. Studio tour was amazing. Art on the Fringe. So much going on this weekend. Some things have already been mentioned. The unveiling of the Story in Stone, that's going to be fabulous, along with the juried art show and the children's art show. I'm really looking forward to that. This Wednesday is the DAC Farm Tour. It's going to be down at Ajax Downs, so that's going to be very interesting. And Thursday night, September 21st, is the Goodwood United Church Beef Supper, so I don't have to cook that night. And just something that I noticed this, well, I think it was on Friday when I was out and about, that there was a gravel truck, a big tandem one, and it had a sign across the side, and it says, "I build roads, bridges, and buildings." And I thought that was interesting to see that, because, I mean, you know, the gravel trucks have to be out there. They do serve a purpose, and they get a lot of bad rap, and it was just interesting to see that they need to be appreciated too for the work that they do, because they're building our city and roads. Thank you.
Councillor Hyatt?
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. I won't belabor the points that have already been made. We had BIA last week. We had a tour of the local businesses with Regional Economic Development. I know Councillor Malloy couldn't make it for personal reasons. I just wanted to thank the owners of Gentilly Stone, Brooks Farms, and Harrowley Farms. They were the kind hosts for council and staff that made the tour, and Dave Thomas from our Economic Development Committee. It was a great one. We're going to plan to do this periodically, so we'll give you a heads up the next time the next one comes up. So it's great support. Council learns a lot about the operations of businesses that we might drive by every day and not realize what they actually do. So it's good promotion for them as well. We have the Uxbridge Studio Tour. I hope everybody had a chance to go out on it. It's a great brochure. I think we still have some left if you want to pick one up. There's little bios on all the artists as well, which is kind of neat to refer to. There was the Art on the Fringe. I was there on Saturday. It was a little quiet when I was there, but yesterday it was packed, so that was a good sign for those people. Terry Fox, Councillor Barton's already spoke to that. The weather was gorgeous. I don't think we could have asked for a better day. It was cool in the morning, which was great if you were running. I was walking, but if you were running, that would be good. We had the Canada 150 event at the Legion, which was great. Again, it turned into a memorial service. I wasn't quite sure. It was almost like a mini November 11th. It was great. It was well attended. Councillor Bryan and his wife were there as well. This week we have a public planning meeting tonight over at the arena, so I hope you'll all be there with your smiles on. So it's for the Saleville development, which is over near Wooden Sticks. We have the Celebration of the Arts unveiling this week. I don't know if you've passed the statue on the way in. It's going to be unveiled by the artist, Phalai Freeman. And there's a whole ton of events. Mayor, if you thought you had a busy week last week, just wait till this coming week. And as well, next weekend is the Cycle event at Second Wedge here in town. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. Just a very quick thank you to staff and council for all your support in the last week. It was really appreciated. It was nice to see so many of you there. It was really appreciated. Thank you very much. And everything else has clearly been covered.
Just to mention the service at the Legion. Unfortunately, it wasn't well attended. I got there after both of you had left. But I just want to say that you know, the work that Cheryl is doing at the Legion is pretty phenomenal, and it was a good afternoon, even though I got there after the official stuff was done. But I also want to mention, you know, the Terry Fox Run happens every year here, and it was, since it started, Uxbridge alone has raised $500,000 for the Terry Fox Run, which for a small community, that's pretty amazing. But, you know, we have to thank two families in particular, and that's the Evans family and the Ferrero family and their extended family and friends, because without them putting that on and committing to that special event, I don't know whether it would happen or not. But they're pretty remarkable people, and a huge thank you should go out to them as well. Okay, I'll never be able to say your last name, Mike, correctly, so I'm going to call you Mike, okay, and Jeff, and what they're here to do is to do a donation of combination smoke and CO alarms to the Uxbridge Fire Department for the community, and they are representing Enbridge Gas. So, welcome, gentlemen. It's nice to have you here. Do you have anything you want to say, Mike? You can use that mic there. We are televised, okay, so if you would just turn it on and speak into it, it would be great. Thank you.
So good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm proud to be here today on behalf of Enbridge to make this very special announcement. We have a long and proud tradition of supporting the communities we serve. This year, Enbridge is donating $100,000 towards Project Zero, a public education program aimed at bringing a number of residential fire and carbon monoxide deaths down to zero. Today, the Uxbridge Fire Department is one of 15 fire departments in Ontario that will receive combination smoke and carbon monoxide alarms to deliver to Ontario homes. At Enbridge, safety is a top priority. While natural gas equipment has an excellent safety record, properly educating customers about the importance of installing and testing combination smoke and carbon monoxide alarms is vital. Additionally, all fuel-burning appliances should be regularly maintained by a licensed heating contractor. Lastly, I'd like to commend the Uxbridge Fire Department and the Fire Marshal's Public Safety Council for their dedication to both safety and educating the public in order to bring the number of residential fire and carbon monoxide deaths down to zero. Thank you.
Boy, I wish everybody's presentation was that quick. Jeff, could we have a copy of that for our records? Thank you very much. It's great that we have Colin with us today, who is our newly elected. Is that the word? I don't know, were they elected or are they're elected? No, selected. Oh, excuse me. Selected captain of the Uxbridge Fire Department, here to receive the wonderful donation. You know, I for the life of me, I don't understand in today's society why people don't take this little extra precaution, knowing that it could save their lives. But there's so many out there that either don't put the time aside or say it's never going to happen to me or whatever reason. So this will give our fire department an opportunity to make sure that those that haven't been responsible, yes, thank you, that they will have the opportunity to have these installed in their homes. So a huge thank you to both of you on behalf of our residents, but to Enbridge Gas also for giving us the opportunity to make our town safer. Do you wish to do a presentation? Okay. Colin, do you wish to maybe take your picture with Mike and Jeff and maybe show, do you have a box or something? No, no.
Again, I just wanted to thank Enbridge for this donation. We are going to be partnering with our local community care and the food bank to make sure that these alarms are put into people's hands that need them. We also have an after the fire smoke alarm campaign in which when we have a fire, we target that area and we make sure that we do a smoke alarm campaign in that area and that people receive the alarms. A lot of people not only might not, they think they have the proper alarms in place, and it sometimes just a lack of a reminder or a bit of education in knowing what they need in their residence, because the alarms have come a long way, like these wonderful devices, and some people just aren't aware of exactly what they require, and that these expire every 10 years too. A lot of people aren't aware of that. So when we get out in the community and get these in people's hands, it benefits all of us. So thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen, again, for generous donation. Help make our community safe.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. I'll call the Finance and Emergency Services Committee to order. Correspondence 128 is from the Honourable Glenn Thibault regarding the cost of hydro. What would you like to do with this? Receive for information. All's in favor? You have a question, Councillor Barton?
Quick question. Thanks, Pat. According to the numbers that we received in this letter, does our budget reflect that? So that's a question through you to Donna.
Our 2017 budget?
Yeah.
I don't believe so. this wasn't announced till after the budget was completed.
Oh, okay.
Although we're sort of incorporating some of it into the 2018 budget, but that's yet to be determined.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thought it was on. Sorry, this is from the Durham Regional Labor Council. They're requesting we either sponsor in their yearbook or there's another option as well available. Anybody want to do anything with that one? No? I couldn't see where we sponsored them before. I don't know if we did or not, quite frankly. I looked it up. I didn't see it last year, but...
Yes, that maybe we do something, is the fact that we do have unionized,
There's two options. One of them obviously is to advertise in the their yearbook, and there's the other option as well. So I don't know. An 8-page ad is $200 in their yearbook, and
I think an 8-page ad,
would you like to do that?
sure.
Okay. And the funds will just come from corporate, I presume.
1/8, yeah.
Okay, so Mayor O'Connor's made a motion. Are there any other questions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. This is from Tara Rosen, item 130. This is regarding the new animal shelter. They're requesting the use of the senior center for their annual volunteer. Councillor Barton?
Yeah, I'll give you a motion to support that
Motion
and,
to support.
and waive the fee.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? All's in favor? Carried. Thank you. This is item 131 from Emily Ornelas. This is, she's in the World Dance Championships.
Refer to the golf committee?
Refer to the golf committee. Any other questions? All's in favor? Carried. Great. You got that one, Donna? Okay. Under reports, this is report number PWO 6217 from Cara Rill. This is the tender regarding painting of the music hall. Mayor O'Connor? Support the recommendation. Are there any questions? All's in favor? Carried. Report number PWO 6417, Bill Reinard. This is regarding a new roadside mower. Councillor Bryan?
Support the recommendation.
Are there any questions? All's in favor? Carried. Report number PWO 6617, this also from Bill Reinard. This is regarding the tender for the tree removal. Mayor O'Connor.
Quick question on this is, the trees that are listed, all appear to be within the urban area, and I'm just wondering what program we have for the hamlets.
I don't know of any, quite frankly. I don't know. I assume that my understanding is they go around the entire township assessing trees, but you're right. I don't see any here from the rural area.
Okay, so I'll support the recommendation, and perhaps we could just ask for a very short report back from Bill Reinard, the roads operation manager, as to the program that takes place in the hamlets and along our roadsides.
Okay. Well, there's one on the Zephyr Road between the second and third concession. There's a couple. But as I said, I know that they do inventory the whole township, so perhaps that's all.
Well, then
they-
maybe it's not
maybe
necessary.
maybe that's all we could find.
I didn't see a lot there, and
Yeah, I agree.
Pat,
Yeah, you have a question?
yeah, well, just a comment. I've spoken to Ben and to Uxbridge Tree Service in the past. The risk is different if you're on a road because people aren't typically underneath the trees as they might fall. So the liability is different from what I understand. But Ben could answer that better, seeing he just walked in the room.
Ben, we were just talking about the Billy's report regarding the tree removal, and I just suggested that the whole township is sort of inventoried, and this is the list of the bad ones. You do in fact obviously look into the hamlets and that sort of thing.
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay. All right. So what we'd like to do?
We do everything except the trees on the regional roads.
okay, so I'll just support the recommendation then,
Great.
and we don't need a report.
Okay. Are there any other questions? All's in favor? Carried. This is report number PR 1017, Bob Ferguson. This is with the replacement playground in Leasdale. Councillor Ballinger?
I'll move the recommendation.
Great, thank
I
you.
talked with Bob about it, both this one and 1117.
Sorry, do you want to move both? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes,
Okay. Councillor Bryan?
I have a question in regard to the pricing on it. It says that it's for, or it covers supply, installation, and warranty. What's gonna happen with the cost of the excavation? Because I think back, remember we did the playground, we were gonna put the playground on Campbell, and that was $20,000, and we didn't get much for it, but here it looks like we're getting an entire new playground for $30,000. So I wanna make sure everything is covered in this, out of that $29,000.
I can answer that.
Go ahead.
So the budget for this is actually 35,000, and there's 5,000,
For excavation?
for
and
excavation
building?
for setting it all up. And according to, Mr. Ferguson, that's what we've done in the past for Goodwood as well, in the last one, and the $5,000 covers that type of work.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Now, this is for both. Are there any other questions on item, PWO 1117 regarding harvesting the trees in the Countryside Preserve? No questions on that either, so we want to move both. And they're moved by Councillor Ballinger? Are there any other questions? All those in favor? Carried. This is report TR 3917 from Susan Strawn. This is regarding, sort of the implementation of the new residential and landfill property tax. Move the recommendation, Councillor Hyatt. Are there any questions? All those in favor? Carried. All right, this is also TR 4017 of Donna Condon. This is regarding a letter of credit reduction for Maplebrook Homes. Are there any questions? Somebody like to move the recommendation? Councillor Bryan. All those in favor? Carried. TR 4117, also from Donna Condon. This is regarding the budget timetable for the 2018 budget. You'll note on that one issue we did have before was we've sort of made a note to the bottom of it that says that we may not in fact be here till 5 o'clock, but that's just a proposal. So let's just note that sometimes we don't go that long.
I'll move the recommendation.
Move the recommendation, Councillor Bryan. Are there any other questions? All those in favor? Carried. TR 4217 of Donna Condon. This is sort of a report on how we're going to manage our golf fund. Oh, is that the request for assistance? Yes. Are there any questions of that?
No,
Councillor Bryan.
I'll move the recommendation.
Great. No other questions? All those in favor? This is TR 4317 of Donna Condon. This is Bill C-323. This is rehabilitation of historic properties. Although this bill hasn't passed yet, I think Mayor O'Connor wanted some clarification how it would impact our township, and that's why it's here. Are there any other questions?
I'll
Move the recommendation, Mayor O'Connor.
thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor? Carried. Is there any unfinished business? I have one little note, if you don't mind me throwing this in. I was up just this weekend to the dog park, and although we're having some issues with the grass up there that really isn't growing at all, one thing that really annoyed me, I got to tell you, is we haven't even opened this dog park yet, and there were already 2 bags sitting there outside the gate on the grass. And I think somehow we have to get the message to people that, first of all, it isn't open yet for starters, but secondly, how irresponsible is that people go to a dog park, and who do they think is going to pick up this bag off the ground? I'm really furious about it, and it's like, you know, smarten up, people. I shouldn't say that. You can quote me, I don't really care, but the reality is, it's terrible to do that. I don't understand people, how they think that they can just throw a bag out someplace, and who's going to take care of it? Anyway, we're going to endeavor to get a garbage can up there as fast as we can, but I was really disappointed to see that people already, and it wasn't in the dog park, it was outside of the dog park. Anyway, I had to throw that in. It's annoying. Anyway, is there any... Okay, there's also, under other business, there's the 8th Annual Wine and Cheese Fundraiser for the Victoria Order of Nurses in the Durham Hospice Services. Mayor O'Connor?
I'm going to suggest that this go to the Golf Fund for their consideration.
Okay.
VON does a lot for our residents, so,
Okay, refer it to the Golf Fund Committee. Are there any other questions? Great, all in favor? Carried. And the accounts for July, August, and September are next. Any questions? Would somebody like to move them? Councillor Ballinger? All in favor? Carried. I'll turn it over to Tourism, Heritage, and Community Programs Committee.
Okay, I'd like to open tourism,
Do you have
heritage,
a cold?
and community programs.
Sorry, Pam. Pam, sorry. I'll go for questions if you like. Go ahead.
Councillor, I have a slew of questions. In fact, I have so many questions, it would probably delay this council meeting for quite some time. could I meet with you and Treasurer Condon later on?
Yeah, no problem, when we're done.
Would that be okay?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions of the press?
I think I might have read it, but when is the dog park opening?
We don't know yet, we haven't confirmed it.
Okay, so TBA.
Hopefully November, but we don't know yet, we're not
Okay.
sure.
Thank you.
There's a meeting this Thursday, actually, and we're gonna sort of try to put a timetable together. Any questions from anybody else? No? Alrighty, now I will turn it over to Tourism, Heritage, and Community Programs Committee.
Thank you. I'd like to open Tourism, Heritage, and Community Programs, report, RC 2217 of Amanda Ferrero, Director of Parks, Recreation, Culture, and Tourism. Read the logos. Any questions, comments? Yes, Councilor
Well, I
Moore.
think Amanda's looking for an answer on this, right?
Yes.
Okay, the only comment I would make is I prefer the one with the maple leaf, I just like the maple leaf in it. Maybe it's just because it's the 150 still, but I like the maple leaf in.
Councilor.
She picked two that were sort of the top two, and one of them has the maple leaf, one does.
So she's looking for us to pick out of the top two choices, am I understanding that right?
Oh, Councillor Beach might have that answer, I'm not sure.
Amanda, do you want to come forward, please, and clarify that for council?
Yeah, I think the direction was that we wanted a alternative logo so that we could make use of it on a flag or use it corporately. So I think we would want to pick one. The great thing about these logos, as you could see from the previous examples, is that you still can change them with the event logo, and the department logos can all be changed. In fact, I saw that you just recently approved the accessibility logo, which again matches that theme, so that's fantastic. That's exactly what my intention was, to streamline. Yeah, so those are my top two choices, so I'd like it if you would choose one, or if there's one that you like better.
Councillor Ballinger?
Yeah, personally, I like the one on the left, with the maple leaf.
Councillor Bryan?
I'm in agreement with Councillor Barton, sorry, he hasn't spoken yet. Councillor Ballinger and Councillor Malloy, I do like the one with the Canadian maple leaf on it, the red.
Councillor Barton?
Sure. And I'm wondering about, for a flag, something that's a little bit wider. You've got this one that's that geometry, it's a little bit wider and narrower, not as high at the top. Would that work better for a flag or not?
It might, and certainly that's the great thing about those logos, is that you can use either or. Colleen actually made a really good point, was for social media, it'd be nice to take that logo and make it round as well. So again, there's lots of variations. Once we pick the color scheme and the logo that we will adopt, we can change the shape and we can do some variations. But certainly for a flag, we can look at what the best option would be.
Mayor? Did you have a comment?
What Councillor Burton is saying about it being, excuse me, being spread out for a flag, but I'm fine with the one on the left.
Councillor Hyatt?
Yeah, just to clarify, Amanda, where would we be using this in place of the actual township crest?
We would probably still use the township crest as often as possible, but when we're doing something, let's say, with the region, and we want Uxbridge to be showcased versus the crest, with no one, unless they know us, that we're part of it. The Uxbridge logo would be used mostly for marketing and showing that it's the township of Uxbridge specifically, whereas corporately, I'm sure we'll still use the crest as well.
So is it in lieu of or in addition to?
I think it's a partnership. In my mind, it's an alternative to the crest when people want to use it.
So if we did any marketing pieces or even literature, letters, anything like that, would they both appear on this, or would it be one or the other, or what's the plan? Or
that's up to council. Yeah, I think this is just an alternative, and you can choose which one you want to use.
Okay. I'm kind of leaning to the left one, but is there a reason one is capitalized on the second version and not on the first? You've got the and of. Is there a reason they're just lowercase?
There was lots of
'Cause
variations,
corporately, we're
so...
the Township of
Yep.
Uxbridge, so I'm not sure whether that needs to be capitalized or not. If it doesn't, then I'm fine with the left one.
If you like the one on the left but want the capitalized, that's not a that's not a hard
I just
change.
don't know, Ingrid, are we bound to have the Township of Uxbridge, do you know, or Debbie, maybe? Doesn't matter? Okay. I mean, I like the look of the left one, I just
Yeah.
wondered, does it need to be capitalized?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah. Okay, thank you.
I think,
Councilor Malloy?
I think one of the things that, that we need to do is definitely is have one where it actually says Township of Uxbridge. Our crest is, we can't get, our crest will be here forever, for sure. And hopefully one day we'll add the Township of Uxbridge around that crest and make it sort of our official logo. But I can see this being used anywhere we're using, anything outside of the township, but officially the crest will still be ours for letterheads and that sort of thing. But yeah, I think it's a great idea. It says Township of Uxbridge. We need to say the Township of Uxbridge. I remember when we were at the economic development thing up in Beaverton a couple of years ago, that our logo goes up there, but no, it doesn't say anywhere that it's Uxbridge. You can't tell. So I think this is a great idea.
Councillor Barton?
Yeah, and I'm with Pat. We did the Lake to Lake event, and when we're looking at, Brock and Skewgog and all the different partners, it was very obvious who they were, and then we had our crest that, didn't really show that it was Uxbridge. So I love this. I think it's a great addition, and the fact that it fits to every department, really. And then when you look out over our town, you almost always see that same vista, which is, the pine trees. So I'm totally in support.
And I really love it. I like the elongated one, but the one on the left with the maple leaf, 'cause that pop of red, whether the capitalization is changed, like, it's for marketing and branding, it would give a wonderful addition and recognition to the municipality, and I think would be really great. Any other questions?
Going with the one on the left, but we're capitalizing the T, right?
If we need to, I don't know if it's a corporate, thing.
I think
Yeah.
it, yeah.
It should.
Insert probably the other two.
But not the whole line.
No.
No, just the T. Okay, all those in favor? Okay, pass.
If I could just add, what I'll do then, is I'll get that changed, and I'll also get a circle version for social media, so it'll be the same, same logo in a circle version, and then we'll get them on a shared drive, so it'll be accessible for anyone who wants to use it.
Councilor Malloy?
I'm not sure. Why a circle version? I don't understand. What difference does that make on social media, whether it's a rectangle or
Apparently now
circle?
they're asking for circle versions, and you can put a square one there, but then it cuts it out. Like, it cuts it off a little bit, so the
Off of
circle...
what? Sorry, off of what?
So if you look on the Discover Uxbridge tourism feeds, you'll see that Discover Uxbridge is a square logo, and what happens is it just cuts off a little bit of the edges. So if we can make a circle version just for social media, then it will fill the whole space instead of leaving a top and a bottom not used, and it won't cut off the edges.
It's just, my concern is, the image is the image. I don't know, I don't think you want too many of them around. I noticed the other day at the arena that the type on the top where it says Township of Uxbridge is a type that we never use at all. And we really have to get it all together so we have one
Yeah.
one presentation instead of a whole pile, and that's why I'm concerned about going to circles and different things. This looks great to me, and I don't really understand why something gets cut off of social media. I don't understand how.
Yeah, it would
Why?
mostly be used for Colleen when she's posting on behalf of Facebook maybe, or Instagram. I think you probably want the crest still for your township posts, but
Yeah.
some of the Instagrams could certainly be changed to...
Could you just create one and then put it
You
out
can
there
create
we'll
it,
have
and
a
then
look
you
at
can
it?
use it as you want,
It's
yeah.
hard to think about not actually seeing it, right, so, thank you.
Okay, report RC 2317 of Amanda Ferrero, Director of Parks, Recreation, Culture and Tourism, Refields of Uxbridge Project. Any questions? Councilor Malloy?
Once again, Amanda's looking for an answer on this as well. I like the green roof with the white siding was my pick. If you want to take picks, that's mine.
Councilor Hyatt?
Yeah, I know I asked you this via email, Amanda, but maybe it needs to be said in public. Washability, cleanability, if it gets tagged, does it matter what color scheme or what material, or is there a coating we could put over top?
So
Can you
the
speak to
paint is
that?
actually inside the concrete, so it will, the graffiti removal will be exactly like any of our other concrete buildings. So we'll
Okay.
still need to use
I'm just
that
thinking,
service to do
I
that.
agree with Councillor Malloy on the color scheme, but if it's a white wall and all of a sudden now you've got this god-awful looking thing on it.
And I don't think that one's
Is it
white,
gonna
I think
show
it's
more than
I think
not,
it's like
you
a
know?
gray or a, it's
Yeah,
probably
it's
a
an
gray.
off-white or whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
But
just-
it
has-
doesn't matter what color it is, then the cleanup would be the same.
I think the cleanup will be the same. I mean, you could ask, yeah, Bob, just saying, yeah.
Like
yeah.
it doesn't penetrate into the material at all? No? Okay, thank you.
Mayor?
I like the, dark, only for the same reasons you are talking about graffiti being sprayed on it or whatever. I don't think it would stand out as much as, if it was on the white. I also think that, the dark for Fields of Uxbridge, when you're heavy rains and that sort of thing, and the splash, it, splashes back up onto the building.
So I just gave you some, if you chose brown, I just gave you some, options there of what kind of brown. Basically, it's any paint chip, we pick, we could do the brown. I was kind of just as I was walking in, looking at the township building, and, there certainly is the, Maryville brown is very similar to the stone on the township building. There's obviously different variations of brick, but it's quite close to that. If you chose brown, I just kind of tried to give you some good options.
Okay, yeah. Councillor Bryan?
Just a quick question back to the, back to the graffiti. With the wall being textured, is that gonna affect it? 'Cause I know we had that graffiti problem on Hodgkins on the weekend, but that's flat, right? No? Okay. That was just my issue. I didn't know if it makes it tougher to clean it. For what it's worth, I like the brown walls. I think that it's, it would be better and a little more resistant.
Councillor Ballinger?
I also like the brown with the green roof. I'm just wondering, I think it's Aurora, and I could stand to be corrected, where they spray now on the building. So when you graffiti it, all they do is just wash it off. It's almost like a shellac. I don't know the name of it, but they've started it now because they had so many problems with graffiti. They sprayed the building, and now you just take a power wash and you can wash it off. So I'm wondering if they would look into this on this particular building.
Councillor Barton?
Yeah, and just on the color scheme, what's our plans for the new pool? Like, this is a pretty small piece of the overall project that's gonna be there. You just wanna make sure that it's gonna match everything else that's gonna go there.
Yeah, we tried to pick township colors, right? So we wanted to go with a green roof because that matched our township colors. And I think they'll be separated enough that you won't necessarily need them to color match, but certainly I think a brown or a gray is pretty safe.
Okay.
It's
And-
not like we're doing blue or something.
Fair enough.
Which
No,
we could have done.
So I like a darker color for a building like this, and I really like a darker roof. Just when it fades, it seems to fade to a nicer color when those tin roofs fade.
Councillor Malloy?
I guess my concern is, I like the darker color too, and my concern is the dark color is painted. And when you go to clean the painted surface, you're certainly gonna take this paint off. That's why I think the concrete is far more durable. Is that correct? I mean, you've got a concrete wall as opposed to a painted wood.
It's not painted, the actual, concrete itself is stained internally, so.
Right.
It's, about a couple inches anyway that
Yeah.
they stain the whole thing, so you can't wash it off.
But on the darker one, that's a paneling that you're painting, right?
No, it's concrete
No.
too.
It's concrete as well?
concrete.
Well, so,
For the
we have paint
walls.
swatches here. Why do we have paint swatches?
Because they can color the concrete.
So it's also concrete, the darker one?
Yeah.
Yes.
In the same, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
yeah. So the concrete can be any color you want, the concrete can be done.
So which pattern then are you asking us to choose? You've got sort of a paneling one on the dark sample you have here, but yet you have sort of a stone work on
Yeah,
the
those two are for color schemes only, just so you could see what it would look like on a building. The actual, concrete will be stamped with that texture, and it will be vertical panels, so it'll be vertical panels with that wood kind of grain look. We didn't want,
That's the sample I see on the left here? Is that what you're talking about?
it-
Is that the grain?
it's not on the building, it should be on its own
Yeah, on the
piece.
left?
Yeah.
Okay. One six
Yeah,
nine
so
two
this,
two.
this right here, which is showing
Okay.
horizontal, will actually be vertical,
Okay,
and it will look like wood paneling.
okay.
And then those two buildings, I just pulled it off the internet so you could see what the colors would look like together, 'cause it's
Okay.
hard to visualize
So it'll look
green
like
and
board
brown or
back.
green and
Okay.
gray.
I would like to see it brown darker, because if you go to the gray, you're gonna get splash up of grass, dirt, it's gonna show more, it's gonna show over time where stand up. I like the idea of the darker roof, green roof, because with the fading and so on, you know, I think that would be a better choice. So the total consensus.
Don't use any of these, which is the HC 21, 20, and 19, because they've, when you look at this, they look quite green.
Yeah.
Moss greeny. Okay, so. No, I think that staff can,
Pick a
they know
brown.
they know the color that we are looking at, and, you know, you're capable of doing that. So I think all we need to do is say, which one do you want? Do you want the paneling, or looks like wood, or do you want the, one that looks like stone?
Sorry, I'm okay with the wood one. I was just concerned that it was,
Yeah.
in fact, concrete, so that's good.
Okay.
No, I'm fine with that.
So we're all fine with wood, and, we'll leave it up to staff to choose colors.
And what color would you like so the three colors there for the green are the three actual colors for the roof.
Well, to
Dark.
me, well, the darker the better, because it'll fade.
Yes.
So you like the dark green
Yes.
roof? I had some people say they liked the green one.
I like the green one personally, but fade-wise, you'll probably get to that over,
Period of time. Yeah.
through time. If you look at, Port Perry's arena, or probably better example would be Testa Building in, the apartment building on Reach Street, and see the color of it. It has faded tremendously over the years, so. I don't know, you don't want a really dark green roof with a dark bottom, 'cause that'll look like an outhouse. So it is, I know, but we don't need it to look like one. So what if we go with the 7/8? Which is sort of the compromise, which is this one, the top one.
I like that one. I think it's a nice, brighter, a little bit brighter color green, and I think it will look nice, yeah.
I think if you have a really dark roof and a really dark building,
The dark green would almost look a little
it'll look almost
black, yeah.
All right, so 7/8 for the ceiling, or the roof, I mean.
Can you also look into that coating stuff?
The coating, that, Jack mentioned.
Yeah.
See whether that's possible. Somebody want to? Yes,
Okay, I'll make that motion, Councillor Beach.
okay.
So with the roof would be 56,160, is that the number we picked, or is it the
No.
one above?
078.
078, sorry.
Yes.
For the roof, and the siding would be the wood panel look in the,
16922.
16922, so that's the style, right?
Would be a brown,
Vertical
Uh,
panels with,
looking like wood, yeah.
Yes.
I'll
which color
find it.
brown do we want? You guys have brown?
No, we said let them choose.
Let them
Okay, so
choose
that's-
that's
okay.
gonna look,
Yeah.
yes,
I guess you want to make it look like a wood
yes.
panel, so we'll leave that up to you guys. Okay?
Okay. All in favor?
Thank you.
Okay, pass.
You can come to my family room when you're done.
Any unfinished business? Any other business? I'd like to close, tourism, heritage, and community programs, and any questions from staff, or from press? Audience? I'll pass it on to parks, facilities, and arena.
Thank you, Councillor Beach, and good morning. Parks, facilities, and arena, any unfinished business? Any other business? Okay, I'll bring up a couple things. Mr. Ferguson, could I just ask you where we are up to date on the arena sign, please?
The sign's been ordered, and we're probably looking at a delivery of late October, mid to late October, and we've secured our sponsorships for the sign, and I believe I've received the artwork for 2 of them so far. So we're in good shape on that.
Any questions on the signage? Okay. The second thing, just to bring you up to date, 10 of 11 trees, the oak trees, have been planted. The last one was put in at the cemetery, and thanks, Bob, you got it right in exact location. It's in the Veterans Park where all the veterans are buried. I've been down the Vic Dom. We will be getting the stones, and Bob's ordering the plates to go on them. The only tree that's in question right now is the one on 50 First Avenue, till we find out exactly where we're at Colonel Sharp's property, former property. So that's where we are right now, and you're maintaining that one tree?
Yep.
Okay. Is there any questions for Mr. Ferguson?
This is
Councillor Malloy.
to you, actually, Jack. Is there one in the Zephyr Park now?
Yes.
It's there? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Councillor Bryan?
Just a quick question for Bob off topic. Can you tell me when that sign will be fixed in Hodgkins Parkette with the graffiti on it?
Tomorrow morning. We have our company coming in, and they'll be doing, all the stuff they did in the parks, as well as, Bill from the roads. The 2 of us met this morning and talked.
Right.
So we'll be hitting everything tomorrow.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Are there any questions? Mayor, please?
So, was there other things done on the weekend?
Yeah, they sprayed, from what I just seen this morning, they hit the wall, the brick wall along Adams Court that faces Brock Street. They hit Quaker Village Public School. They hit our sign at South Balsam. They did some on the sidewalk.
In front. They did the mailbox that's right at the corner of
Yeah, and I'm
South
not sure
Balsam.
if the wall at the train station was fresh again. It's completely done again. Yeah. Yeah, so they hit a whole bunch of places.
Okay. Mr. Martin, you have any questions?
Well, just in response to that, what can we do to get some more cameras up so we can try and stop this?
They move. I mean, these kids. You know what? You could have all the cameras in the world, and they'll find a way around them. Like this, I mean, that's a whole quadrant of the municipality that they hit.
Yep.
They're
Councillor Lloyd.
mindless, you know?
I think though, if you don't mind, I think we should refer this to budget, because I think we should talk about
I think we should refer it to the police
Well,
and say
I know.
enough is
Well,
enough.
I mean, they're not here all the time, obviously, but I think we should refer to budget and look at this. There's a lot of facilities we have. I think we should have some cameras up full time. Well, enough of this. I mean, we had actually in Zephyr, they put, ice cream all over the front doors on, and we never get any graffiti up there. It's hardly ever, but all it takes is 1 or 2 move into town and they create havoc. But I think we have to look at putting some cameras in some of these facilities full time to protect our facilities. So I'd like to refer that to budget and try to get some information on getting more cameras.
Sure.
Okay?
Our current system that we have will allow more cameras to be added to the system, so we can look at that.
We need some more.
I think, from the training I had, especially when I was a number of years at St. John's School, one of the things that has to happen, when graffiti goes up, it has to come down immediately. It's like walking into a washroom where somebody puts something on with a magic marker. If you don't take it off, you go in the next time, there's 3 or 4 more on there, and it just adds on to it. So if you see graffiti, you report it, and let's get it cleaned up as quick as we can, so that somebody doesn't think it's a playground there, that they can just start marking all over the place. So, is there any other questions for Mr. Ferguson? Thanks very much, Bob. To the, paper, any questions? Roger, please?
Councillor Malloy, I believe, was making a motion.
Okay, we'll take that motion. Would you repeat it, Councillor Malloy?
I'd just like to, refer to staff, and refer this, topic to budget, and get some information at budget regarding how many more, cameras we can put in place and, what the cost may be.
Thank you. All in favor of that motion? That is carried. Okay, to the paper now, Roger?
Yes, councillor. Will each of these Vimy oaks that have been planted, will they all be plaqued or marked in some way to state their significance?
Exactly, that's what's happening. It won't be a huge stone that's there, but there will be a stone with a plate on it saying, Vimy Oaks, Memory of the Great War, planted August 2017.
And that'll apply to each one of them?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the press? Moira?
Sorry, the vandalism that you were just referring to, I caught the train station, but where were the other locations? Got hit?
One was on Adams Court, which is over in Ward 4. Hodgkins Parkette, which is also in Ward 4. So, my neighborhood, Quaker Village.
Quaker Village?
And this was just over the last weekend, or?
It was over the weekend. I saw the one on the sign on Hodgkins on Saturday, I believe. I sent the email out, Saturday morning.
Okay.
Or Saturday afternoon, I should say.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Anyone in the public? Elaine, you're it? Okay, on that note, I'll pass this on to Councillor Bartner with Sustainability, Watershed and Conservation. Councillor Barton?
Yeah, this is a pretty quick meeting. Sustainability, Watershed and Conservation. Any unfinished business? Any other business? Any questions? I'll close this meeting of Sustainability, Watershed and Conservation. Thanks. And I'm going to pass this on to Public Works and Operations. Councillor Bryan.
Thank you, Councillor Barton. Another fine job over there. I call to order this meeting of Public Works and Operations. First piece of correspondence is item number 132, Ontario Power Generation, radioactive material transportation. Questions, comments? Councillor Malloy.
I brought this up the last time we had this, brought to our attention. It's interesting, they don't tell us that they don't come through Uxbridge with this stuff. The interesting thing to me is that they refer to Highway 9. I can't imagine how they could get there and use Highway 9 through Newmarket. Anyway, I don't know if we can ask them specifically. They're saying it's confidential. We want to make sure, but we do want to make sure, and perhaps we need to send them a letter that we don't welcome Did we send them a letter saying that, Debbie? We did say that? And this is the response, which says nothing, really. It says it's confidential and we try to use provincial highways. That's all it really says. It doesn't say they don't come through our township, that's all. But we have sent them a letter, and this isn't the response. This is just something else?
I'm not sure if this is a response to the letter,
Okay.
but we did send them a letter that was council's direction related to the one that was on here from OPG.
Yeah. Okay, I just want to emphasize that they really didn't answer our question in this letter, and the number, I mean, it's 400, 401, 410, 407. Anyway, the Highway 9 got me, though, because I don't know how you get the Highway 9 with, I mean, you just, and certainly you're not going all the way through Newmarket, so why would Highway 9 even be used? It's, anyway, I'm concerned. I don't want them coming through our town, is my issue.
So do we have a motion for this, anything?
I don't know what to suggest. We've sent them a letter already. I don't know if we can send a letter and be more specific. And just say, do you use any of the Township of Uxbridge roads?
You'll make that motion? We'll
I'd
send
like
them
to make
another
that
letter?
motion. I doubt
Be
they'll
very
answer
clear.
it, but it's worth sending the
Very
question.
clear. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor? Carried. Next item, item number 133, J.J. Macquarie, concerns regarding the state of Front Street, Goodwood. Questions, comments? Councillor Beach?
Thank you, I didn't even have to raise my hand.
No, your name's on the letter, honey.
All the residents on the section, between 47 and 21, concerned about the state of the street. I had mentioned to them that it wasn't due for another 2 years. They weren't happy about it, and I said, well, then, send something to council, and I don't know whether anything can be done about it, because, I mean, not only for the regular traffic, but, I mean, they're getting a lot of truck traffic that are cutting through there now. This summer has been the first summer it's been so bad, and with the road being uneven, the way it is, the trucks tend to really rattle and bounce, and they're noticing it more than they ever have.
Councillor Ballinger, and then over to Mayor O'Connor.
Can I ask, and I don't know this, is it posted on that street that says no trucks, like we have on Mill Street?
No.
Okay. Ben, do you know?
I think it is.
I didn't notice any. Is there?
Well, it's just a suggestion, maybe we post a sign there, no trucks.
Mayor O'Connor?
Sorry. I know that there used to be a sign up, there, no trucks, so we need to look at that. But, I, along with some staff members last week, were across that road, and it is very bad. But also the suggestion of putting in, traffic bumps, that, they think they have a noise now, that would drive them right across, town, so I would not support that in any way, but, I don't know whether, through the budget process you want to look at, if there's something within this area that you want to exchange, and do this one before, but that should be through a process, a public process. But I will admit that, this road is not in good shape for Hamlet Road at all.
So you're suggesting then they would look at a different road in that hamlet and switch that out for this one?
Well, I'm just saying, is there another road that maybe when we look at the list of roads that are being done, that we could change up? I don't know, 'cause I don't have the list in front of me, but all I'm saying is maybe through that process we could look and see if there is. And maybe, Ben, we could ask you, it's gonna take, you're gonna have to completely redo this road, I'd say, take it down and new asphalt, you're gonna put curbs and gutters in, or do you know what you're doing yet?
I think that would be an appropriate place for curb and gutter.
Yes, I do too. And then you can bring your road in a bit.
Yeah, make it narrower.
Right. Okay, so I will, receive this, for information, and with a letter to go back to, Mr. McQuarrie, stating that, we will look at, the, road through our budget process.
All in favor of that motion?
Yep.
Carried. Next item, report to committee, report PWO 60/17 of Ben Kester, Director of Public Works and Operations, low-speed electric. Questions, comments? Councillor Malloy.
I'll just move the recommendation.
Okay. Mayor O'Connor?
Could I suggest that a copy of this go to Bennett?
Sure.
Because it was discussed in open council that, we would look at this, and, maybe in the letter say until such time as we hear from the region, this is our position.
Okay. Oh, sorry,
yeah.
Councillor Barton?
Just a question on this. My concern is, we're basically, passing the buck on this. When I understand that you can't get anywhere in Uxbridge without going on a regional road, I just don't want to then hear from the region saying, well, it's really up to the yeah, just, what is the harm in this point? If Ben doesn't have an issue with the speed differentials, what's the harm in allowing it? And then it'll really be useful when the region allows it.
If I can speak to that, I think because this thing says that until the region has passed a bylaw allowing them on certain roads, so you can't dictate that they can only stay on our roads, right? So I think we need to go to the region first to get the answer.
Legally, they can't even cross a regional road.
Right. So I think we do have to wait for them. That's the way I understand it. So if you can't cross a regional road, you can't be on the regional road. It severely limits where you're going to go within the township.
Yeah. Like, you'd have to stay in Barton Farms, or you'd have to stay in Testa.
Right. Okay. So do we have a motion then? Oh, sorry, Councillor Malloy?
And I think we need to be consistent with the region too. And if the region comes back and says it's up to the municipality, then great, then we can do it.
We can fill our boots.
On their
yeah.
roads too. So I think we need to be consistent with them, rather than have to change it again when we come back to it. Because I don't know, well, there's a number of variables involved here, so.
Okay. Mayor O'Connor?
Yeah. I think that, first of all, that we need to be consistent, for sure. But, you know, you can't get out of any of our subdivisions without going on a regional road. And to me, probably the bigger, use for these carts would be to get to the south end of our municipality where the Zayres and the box stores are. Well, they can't do that as long as the region is, not letting them go on the regional road. So I very much support these vehicles. They're used a lot in the United States. I don't know about Canada, but certainly in the States, if you're in Florida, I mean, it's a means of transportation. They don't have cars there. They have these things. Hopefully we can get the region on board, and if they come back and say it's up to the municipality, then we'll make that decision. But I do think that it's something that we need to look as a healthy means of transportation for people.
We have a motion on the table. All in favor? Carried.
With a letter going to Bennett, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Report PWO 63-17 of Ben Kester, Director of Public Works and Operations, Re-Lake Simcoe Phosphorus Offset Program. Questions, comments, concerns? Councillor Malloy?
One thing that concerned me in some of the recommendations from Stantec is that there's kind of a slippery slope here. If we, there's many ways they want to add fees, of course, to the taxes. And do you, as a township, take care of the stormwater management ponds, which we do right now, or do you ask that community to do it? And sort of when you start getting into that payer user, it's kind of a slippery slope. We have to be very careful what we do with this. So we really have to look at this information. I'm sure we'll get more of an explanation when it comes back. But I would move the recommendation. But there is some interesting scenarios that they're presenting with some of the suggestions that they made. I'll move the recommendation.
Okay, we have a motion on board. All in favor? Carried. Next item, report PWO 65/17 of Ben Kester, Director of Public Works and Operations, Reese Township Design Criteria. Questions, concerns, comments? Councillor Beach.
How do we know how much is being charged from the lights right now as opposed to what's being suggested is metered? Like, how do we figure that out on our streetlights?
Oh, we don't, Hydro One does, it's just a flat rate based on the type of light and average number of daylight, or average number of darkness in a day or a month.
So having it metered, would that be any benefit to us as a municipality?
I'm not sure it would be any benefit, it wouldn't be any harm. It's just that you're going to get an energy bill that is accurate, and you're paying for what you use.
So then it's possible it could be better.
Yeah.
So then the metering, doing the meters, would that be an extra cost to us to have the meter?
You wouldn't go and do them all at once. As you replace the systems, then you would put meters on them.
So that would be our cost.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Hyatt?
Just on that point, are there any grant opportunities available to retrofit some of these poles and stuff? Like if you're putting in a new system, are there opportunities for, I don't know, energy saving grants or something?
Not for poles.
No?
No.
What about the meters?
Probably not the meters.
No?
No.
Well, if there's a way you could look into that while you're planning to do this, I guess it's over time. Do you have any idea how long that process would take from the get-go?
Well, I won't be around when it's done.
Okay. But I think if there are opportunities, at least at the outset, it would certainly help us out.
Well, we'll miss you, Ben. Councillor Barton?
Yeah, so Ben, just so I better understand this, would this be your amp style meter that we see on houses now? Is that what the proposal is? But there's all kinds of lighting automation systems that exist where all the lights are connected and use GPS and all Zigbee and a whole bunch of different systems. Is there not an automated system that calculates the energy usage, where they've got a coil to calculate current use as part of those systems? I'm just thinking a whole bunch of these meters.
None that are recognized by Hydro One for billing purposes.
Okay. I'm struggling to understand what the benefit of having traditional hydrometers throughout our municipality for these. I understand the accurate usage, but, you know, these types of lights have especially when you get to LED, you know exactly how many milliamps or amps they use. You could get full reports from your automation system that says how many hours they were on, I'm sure, when we're upgrading.
But Hydro One won't accept that for billing purposes.
Okay.
Absolutely, you can do that. There's a number of them out there. But Hydro One will only accept a flat rate or a metered.
Oh, so then if we upgrade from tungsten or whatever to LED, they charge us the same rate?
No, Joanne has to go through a whole process. Every light we change that are on flat rate, she has to go through a whole process of saying to Hydro One, this is the light we took down, this is the light we put up, this is the energy use of the light, of the new light, and then we have to find out which account out of about 120 different Hydro One accounts I have, which account that light is on, and then Hydro One has to make the adjustment. And then we do this for every light that we change. Whereas if it was on a meter, if it was on a meter, it wouldn't, you could change the light at any time and there's no paperwork, you just change it.
And how many meters would you think that we would need in the municipality to do this?
There's a lot. There's a lot.
Is there
every power, every time there's a line coming out of a transformer that feeds the street lights, a certain number of street lights, you would need a meter.
So then we would be looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars to implement this.
I doubt that. Not over time. You sort of have to put this into context. It's like sort of drawing a line and saying, any new subdivisions, the developers would pay for this.
Right.
Right? I only replace a street lighting system or part of a street lighting system once every 2 years, so you might get 3 meters once every 2 years at the rate we're going.
Okay.
Councillor Malloy?
Yeah,
and then
actually,
Councillor Ballinger.
my question was just sort of how many are in a string and how many meters we would have to do that. You have 1,500 and some odd streetlights without Peridian, so are we talking hundreds of meters at some point in time?
Yeah.
Okay.
At some point. There's the other ones where we have streetlights at intersections. You wouldn't meter those. It's just meant sort of for the urban areas. You wouldn't put a meter on one streetlight. You put them on a system.
Councillor Ballinger?
Mr. Chair. Ben, to you, would there not be a benefit if we're on a flat rate to check out a community the same size of Uxbridge that are on metered lights to see the comparison? Is it worth doing this or is it not worth doing that?
You really can't compare because my streetlight mix, high-pressure sodium, mercury vapor, LED mix would be different than somebody else's. They might have more streetlights that use more energy, or they may have done a retrofit on them all too.
Councillor Beach?
One question that hasn't been asked is, how much does a meter cost
The-
today?
The meter itself, I don't think costs anything. It would be, I'd have
The
to
hookup.
set it up. I'd have to put the meter base on and run the wire up and then back down, and so it's a cost of a meter base and a bit of wire.
Okay. The other question is, every time Joanne needs to, you know, like there's been a different installation of a different type of light, how long would she spend per light?
The biggest problem we have is Hydro One. We don't really know where these lights are in the billing. That's our biggest problem. And now Hydro One has come along and said, you have to certify every light you have every year in the municipality. And between Joanne and Billy and Steve and I, this August, we probably spent 4 or 5 days trying to count street lights, and
So that's something that
and
if,
once they're on the meter, you don't need to do that.
yeah.
They don't care.
So as it is, you're taking almost 4 people a week's worth?
Yep.
Okay. No, I'm just trying to look at the overall cost, like, you know, looking at what would be involved.
Councillor Barton?
Yeah, I'm struggling with this. If we, I just, the cost of putting in a meter my guess is wouldn't be under $2,000 per meter we put in. I'm just.
Probably, yeah.
Roughly, right? So if we're about $2,000 to put in a meter, we have 50 or 100 of them in the municipality that we might have to do. Versus if we have a spreadsheet where we calculate where all of our lights are, what the technology is, what type it is, do it once, figure out what the billing code is. I'm just thinking if we map out a municipality once, we don't have to recreate it every year. And every time that we have a contractor come in and switch the lights, then we make that change, and I think we would only have to do this once, really, really well. But maybe I'm missing it.
If council doesn't wish to do it, then amend the agreement, or amend the recommendation, and we'll just carry on the way we are.
I just want to make sure we're doing the right thing, that's all.
So we do not have a motion on the table yet. Does someone want to make one? We can go forward. There's two components to this, obviously the fencing and the hydro. So, certainly.
This is really for the design criteria, which is for new developments. That's what we're focusing on, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
there may
if-
be,
if-
but let's, because, I mean, there's the, you know, switching everything over is one thing, but this is really to deal with new subdivisions. This will be the standard in new developments, is what he's
But
saying, right?
as I switch my own over, I would switch them to meters.
Well, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Councillor Barton?
So I would make the motion, let's pull the hydrometer out first. For any new developments, I move that we go with a hydrometer system and link as many of the lights onto the same system as possible. And I'm sure we do this already, but that any new street light in the municipality is using LED technology.
Yeah, we do that.
I assume that's already done, but just in case.
Okay, we have a motion. All in favor? Sorry, Deb?
The first part of the motion has to do with the walkway fencing. Are you dealing with that or not?
Well, I was gonna do one at a time, then we can pull that out, or?
Motion on the floor, which is just to deal with the hydro component of this. All in favor of Councillor Barton's motion? Yes.
Can we rewind the tape, because I can't exactly remember what I said? So moving forward, any new streetlights that we put in a new development be LED, be metered on as few circuits as possible, so that we would only have, you know, hopefully just one meter on that system.
Councillor Malloy?
Just a quick question, I mean, shouldn't we just be very definitive about it and say any new development requires a metered lighting system?
I guess we could do that.
I don't wanna say if we can, if we can't, as have it, that's all there is to it, it has to be a
Yeah.
metered lighting system. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, I'm
Okay.
with that.
No, thanks for correcting it.
No, just, you don't wanna give, it's gotta be definitive, I think, right? Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we now have a definitive motion on the table. All in favor of this definitive motion? Carried. Back to the fencing. Did you want to bring up about that as well, for the
Okay.
second component?
So on the second component, I was thinking about that, and I was actually at, Pam, what road were we at, looking at trees? With the fence?
That was on the second concession, just above Glasgow.
No,
Oh,
the development where we
sorry,
looked at
sorry.
the, we looked at
Ridge
the chain link
Road.
fencing. Ridge Road. So I just looked at Ridge Road, these beautiful houses, and we have the chain link fencing going right through the yards. I can understand why they might want something different, I get that. My concern is long-term upkeep. So if we go with a wood fence, you know, the posts are gonna rot every decade probably. Is there a longer-term solution?
First up, Mayor O'Connor.
Yeah, first of all, they can put up a privacy fence within their own property as well. We've seen that in a few places, but I think that the municipality should stick to the chain link. And then if the owners that are, abutting that walkway want to do something else, it'll be done on their property and their cost to replace it.
And then Councillor Hyatt.
Sorry, it wasn't Ridge Road, it was Stone's Throw where we were looking at, and I agree with the mayor. We should stick with the chain link. If they want the privacy, let it be at their own cost and their own upkeep, because the wood fences will not last as long as the chain link.
Councillor Hyatt?
Yeah, this surfaced a couple of years ago, and I think at that time we decided that if they were existing fences along these walkways that were wood, that we would replace it with anything else that was new and or didn't have that kind of fence, we were gonna go with the chain link. Ben, is that what I remember, or am I dreaming of that?
We were going to replace the privacy fences with privacy fences. If they were chain link, we would replace them with chain
Exactly.
link.
So it was like for like.
I suggest we just leave it at that. I don't think we need to complicate it by saying it has to be one or the other. You know, if it's an existing fence that's wood that needs to be replaced along one of our walkways, then we replace it with what's there. If it's a new development, obviously we can go in a different direction with chain link or whatever, but I think we all agree that that's the way we would proceed, so I don't know why we're changing it now, so.
So you'll make that motion?
I would suggest leaving it at status quo. I think there is a motion if you wanna go that far back and dig it out, but if you want a new motion, I'll make one, that we replace existing, board fencing with new board fencing, should they need replacement. Anything else would be chain link. Okay?
All in favor of Councillor Hyatt's motion? Carried. Any unfinished business? Okay, let's go back to the report. Receive for information? Okay, all in favor of Councillor Hyatt's motion, receive for information? Carried. Thanks, Tim. Unfinished business? Under other business, we have a news release of Miller McAsphalt Corporation to join forces with Colas to create leading Canadian construction and transportation infrastructure company. Councillor Malloy?
I'll just receive it for information.
Okay. All in favor? Oh, sorry, Councillor Hyatt?
To follow up, Ben, is there any implications for us for them doing this? Are costs gonna go up, down, no change?
It's hard to say.
It's hard to say. Still too early to tell?
We'll know next year.
All in favor of the motion? Carried.
Thank you, Councillor Bryan. I'll call the order Planning and Economic Development Committee, correspondence 134 from the region. their tree bylaw and the 5-year review. Mayor O'Connor?
I'm going to ask that staff review this and, hopefully that they'll support what the region is doing and therefore we'll only have one bylaw
Yeah.
for trees in Uxbridge Township. So,
Good idea.
I think that, right now, if we have one and the township has, if the township has one and the region has one, it's very confusing for some people.
Yeah.
So, as I said, if staff review it and if they can support what the region's doing, then we should just adopt the regions and have it right across the...
Okay. Any
We don't have a bylaw? Well, it's time we
make-
did have a bylaw, so we follow the regions, okay? So if you have any concerns with the regions, let us know.
Okay. You just want to receive this report then, Mayor O'Connor?
Yeah.
Okay.
And ask the staff
And ask
to
the
review.
staff.
Yeah.
Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Come on up, Amelia. Okay, this is a, C of A application for DS 5317. Relief for maximum lot coverage. This is 70 Oakside. Questions? Dave?
More of a concern than question. I took a good look at the Google map image of it. So if you were the owner of the house on North Street, and you had, a 100-foot backyard, and then you have Mason come in with a 35-foot backyard, and I'm just going by how it looked on the satellite image. So already it's way closer to your lot line and your pool than you've ever had before. And then we allow them to build a screen porch on the back of the property that puts them even closer still. I'm just concerned about that one homeowner that now has people looking over their swimming pool, where in the past they had much larger separation from the properties when they bought their house. That's all.
Yeah, just as a comment to give you a bit of the history, when a lot of these Mason homes were built, there were a lot of applications for lot variances for that reason, that the lots were shallow and they were building a bigger house on a smaller lot. And there was a variance granted, I believe, 10 years ago or something on that particular property. I mean, basically how I read this, and maybe you can correct me, is they're changing it basically from an outdoor deck to a sunroom enclosed. Is that right? The dimensions are pretty close to the
Yeah, the
original?
dimensions are pretty close to begin with because they needed a variance for that deck
For
as
the deck
well.
as well, right.
And then a few years ago, when the initial subdivision went in,
Mm-hmm.
a number of them required rear yard reduction.
Right. Okay. Any other questions? Councillor Moy?
Sorry, was the reduction similar, or you're talking like, what is that, 12 feet? Well, almost 15 feet, I guess, That's
it-
sort of typical?
Well, what had happened is, the zoning bylaw requires that it be 10 meters, and through that
Yeah.
variance, after the homes were built, they allowed for 8 meters.
So the only, but this does say proposed sunroom, it doesn't indicate there's a deck there already?
No, he's going to remove the deck and then...
There is a deck there, though?
Right, and
Okay.
he's replacing it with a sunroom.
Okay, and I know, obviously, the Committee of Adjustment is open to the public. So do they have this information already? The residents, perhaps the people behind, do they already have this information?
Yes,
They have it?
it was circulated,
They would add a notice,
a week ago,
Okay.
yeah.
Just out of curiosity, do we, I guess the only response we get is at the Committee of Adjustment, we don't get responses prior to that, or they'd be here, I guess? Is that the way we do it?
Sometimes they'll give us a call if they're concerned about it prior to the meeting, but usually we do hear a lot about it during the meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Can I
So,
get
so far, no one's responded to this variance.
This one? Okay. Can I get a motion on the recommendation? Councillor Malloy, support? Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Subsequent comment, please.
Yeah, I think this points out something to us, is that, we have to, when we're looking at, new subdivisions and that sort of thing, we have to, maybe be a bit more aware of rear lots and that sort of thing. And you know what? Maybe they're not going to be able to get as many houses in. We're finding this more and more. They're squeezing and squeezing and squeezing, and part of it is provincial you know, people and places and, you know, maximize your yards and that sort of thing. But, you know, when a new subdivision goes in and then we have to turn around and over 50% of them have to do minor variances, doesn't speak well to the system at all. And I'm not blaming anyone, that's the system that's out there. But I think that when we're looking at new subdivisions in the future, we have to be aware of this sort of thing.
I guess that's always the challenge when you put a higher density next to a
Well,
lower density, right?
And that's what the province of Ontario is doing to us.
And that's what they're telling us that we have to do, right?
Yeah.
So, but at least they're going through the process here, and again, they've done it, back in
But it's a
04.
costly process for people.
It is, you're right, absolutely. So you move the recommendation? Any other questions? All in favor? Carried. DS 5417, another C of A application. This is a rear yard depth again at 50 Victoria. Questions? Councillor Bryan?
I'll move the recommendation.
The recommendation. You have a question? No? Any other questions? No? All in favor? Carried.
This is the one right on the corner, right? It's
Yeah.
not the second one in.
No, it's
Thank
right
you.
there.
I know.
Okay, DS 5517. This is from Brian. Excuse me, an amendment to the fees bylaw. Councillor Malloy?
I'll move the recommendation.
Recommendation. Any questions? All in favor? Carried. Any unfinished business for planning? Any other business? There being none, I will adjourn and pass it to Mayor O'Connor for administration.
Thank you. Correspondence 135 from Kathy Christoff, Roxy Theatres of Uxbridge request to deem the Celebration of the Arts Short Film Festival as a municipally significant event. Councillor Malloy?
I'll support it.
Okay. All those in favor? Carried. Reports to committee, report CL 3917 of Catalina Blumenberg, Deputy Clerk, BIA procedural bylaw update for social media policy.
I'm just gonna make a comment because you're here. I think it's interesting that we have to make comments to say, please don't be negative on our site. You've got to put that into a policy. But anyway, that is the reality today, I guess.
It's a sad reality, unfortunately. Any questions? None? Have a mover or, okay. Support the recommendation? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Is that worth sitting all afternoon or all morning for? Okay, so is there do you want to do it now under other, first of all, is there any unfinished business? None? Other business? Is there a video?
Yeah, the BIA has created this video, Your Worship, so we wanted to show it to everybody.
Great.
Here in council, it's a fantastic video. They've done a great job.
Okay. Maybe turn off some lights. Oh. That's excellent.
One of the things I know that Elaine had said that they were really, really pleased with is it shows the whole diverse group of businesses we have, so it's not just focusing on restaurants, it's showing everything we have. I think they've done a tremendous job in really highlighting the businesses we have, and they should be applauded for that, and the gentleman who created it, I think it's fantastic.
That's
So we
great.
want to get out there as soon as we can to everybody, but certainly they were thrilled about it, and we said we wanted to show it to council this morning.
Congratulations, well done.
Yeah, I think, just to pick up on that, the service businesses were in there too. I don't know if the shots were moving so fast, sometimes it's hard to pick it up. But instead of, there's a pushback I guess we get sometimes from non-retail members who kind of say, well, why are you only focused on the stores? I mean, everybody was covered, which was great. And they were all given an opportunity, correct, to participate in that video, so. Is in there, yeah, so we leave no stone unturned, so.
No, excellent. Any other business? Councillor Malloy?
I'm just curious, it's interesting because I think I only noticed one in the south end, only the Canadian Tire. Was there anybody else in the south end? So you went to everybody that pays BIA fees and you said to them, hey, you want to be in the video, and they said no? I'm just curious because, most of the money comes from the larger ones, and I only saw one large one.
Williamson.
Oh, I guess two, yeah, there were two of them. Oh, good, okay. Great, good. That's wonderful. Fabulous. That's great.
Okay. Yep. Who?
Leo, Take Root Creative.
Oh,
So
here.
Leo's the husband. He's an incredible cameraman.
Excellent. Okay, press? Nothing? Okay. Questions? No questions? Move for adjournment. It's carried by everybody.